Hello and welcome. In today's exciting episode, I make the flamingo dress.
Perfect. 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 Perfect jacket.
So earlier this month, I made version A, which is the yellow dress, dress A, from this sewing pattern. And it was really disappointing. But I'm going to give dress B a try this episode. In version A, if you see on the bodice, it only has one set of darts, whereas it doesn't have any at the side, just at the sort of bottom of the bodice. Whereas version B, dress B, has two sets of darts, so I'm hopeful that this one will have a better fit. And I'm using this absolutely adorable flamingo fabric from Tula Pink, and but I only unfortunately have 2 yards of that, and I also have 2 yards of this other one. It's also got a tropical motif, and the color palette is quite similar. So yeah, front is going to be the flamingos and the back is going to be the other tropical things. These are the panels for the skirts. Most of my fabric was used up on that, and I just sort of, so there's the one big flamingo panel and then the 2 panels of the other tropical one for the back. And then after I cut out those panels, I used the little bits at the top to piece together the front and the back of the bodice. So yeah, unfortunately I had to sort of use 2 bits of the fabric, sew them together, and then I had enough to cut out the front and the back of the bodice. So yeah, it's all very pieced, which is, historically accurate. So that's how I did them. And the green bits are just the lining. So this is the back and the flamingos is for the front. So first thing I did was put in the darts, and so I pinned them in and then measured them, and then I sewed them in and pressed them. And then the next thing you have to do once they are all pressed is to start attaching everything together. I really didn't have much choice about the placement of all the different birds and things, but I think the back worked out pretty well. I've got the pink flowers kind of symmetrical, and this is the front. I was really hoping I'd had enough to somehow get a one of those prawns or shrimp, whatever they are, in the middle there, but there's not quite enough. But I'm really happy with the placement of the flamingos. There's sort of 2 on the left shoulder, 2 on the right shoulder, and then 2 at sort of stomach area. And I do like that. And yeah, there's sort of a little love heart, but a gaping spot in the middle. And I think I'll just wear a different antique brooch each time I wear it there, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll wait until, unfortunately, when I did the side darts, I was pretty sure this was going to happen. The heads of the 2 side flamingos got eaten up by the darts. That's the problem with darts. That's why I kind of prefer princess seams, because at least you know where your seams, what's going to hide inside the seam allowance. But yeah, so here I'm trying to think about whether I should fancy cut a flower from the back fabric. I've got a scrap of the back fabric left over, whether I should cut out one of those pink flowers and sort of put it in the middle, but I'm just going to leave it. I think I'll do the brooch thing. Anyhow, so the next thing is dress B here. Because of the very, very high neckline, your head won't fit through. So what they've done is they've got 5 buttons on either side, on either shoulder. And if you never, I don't want buttons on my shoulder. If you wear a jacket, then your jacket is going to press down on each of those 5 buttons on each of your shoulders. So instead of doing them, I'm just going to have normal shoulder straps, like sewn together, and I'll put a slash in the back and have it open up, and then just have a button and a loop at the top. So I need to put a little placard. So I've got just the 1939 dress that I made, I'm just going to do the same thing that you do on the front of that dress to the back of this dress. And obviously this is fully lined, so I have to do it to both the outer back fabric and my green fabric that I'm using for the lining. So I did that, and then the next step is that you have to sew the lining and the outer fabric together. So I've joined them at the neckline, and then I've also joined them at the sleeve, the armholes, and you have to make sure that you leave the shoulder bit free because that's how you turn it through. So I've done that, and then I pressed it and I clipped the curves, and now it is time to turn them through. So I turned it through and I pressed it again, and then once you've done, and I did the front and the back, and just checking that everything is fine, and it is. So the next thing you have to do is stitch them together at the side seams. And so what you're going to have to do is pin the flamingo to the back fabric at the side, and you're going to have to pin the green lining to the green lining, and then you just sort of sew it all as one. And it's a bit tricky, but it's, it'll get there. So then you have to do that, and then you also have to do the shoulder bits now that everything's turned through. So I did that, and then now it is time to just hand stitch everything down. You can top stitch if you like the look of machine stitches, but I don't like to have any visible machine stitching on my work, on my garments. So yeah, lots of machine sewing, lots of hand sewing to do. And yeah, got to do right around the top and the sleeves and the sides. And now that that is done, which took forever, it is time to attach the skirt to so I finished off the seams of the skirt, making sure to leave the side closure part free. And then, it's time to pin the skirt to the bodice and making sure the lining doesn't get stuck either. So, first I just pinned it and, in big pleats, and there's just way too many pleats there. So then once everything is pinned, then I went along and with every second pleat, I turned that into a box pleat and I carefully pinned that down. And then so it's only every second one, and then I sort of folded one over, then did the next one, and then folded one over, and then pinned the next one. And it sort of methodically just went around the whole skirt. And once that was done, then I went round again, pinning the second set over the first set of box pleats. So it's just layers and layers of box pleats, and it's all done just organically. I didn't go and measure everything. So once you turn it out, you'll see that they're a little bit not perfect, but I don't know, I kind of like that about it. It just makes it feel more vintagey to me. And I like it. But if you want something very precise, then obviously you do have to measure it. So once everything was pinned and I'd checked it, then you have to sew around and then turn it out and check it, and then sew it around again so that it's got the double strength of reinforced. And now I turned it out, and I'm not hating that bit in the middle with just the love heart where I kind of wanted there to be a shrimp. So I think I'll leave it for the time being. And now the next step is for me to hand stitch the, so I've turned up the seam allowance from the skirt up into the bodice. And now I just have to go around inside there and hand stitch that down. And so I will do that now. But this is looking so cute. Actually, before I could hand stitch that down, I remembered that this dress has an inside belt. So before you can hand stitch the seam allowance up, you have to machine sew your inside belt on, And that can be made out of, if you want to run to the store and buy more stuff, then you use grosgrain ribbon or grosgrain ribbon, however you pronounce it. But I just use the salvages that I cut off the fabric. And the flamenco fabric is called Pretty in Pink. How cool is that? Anyway, so yeah, you stitch that on and then you just have to leave a tab out, which will be used in a minute, but you have to finish the rest of the dress first. So yeah, that white tab is going to be useful. But first of all, we have to do the zip. And I do it the old-fashioned way. So you just stitch the tops of the zip together and then you baste the seam you baste that together like stitches, and then you pin the zip on face down, and then you stitch it on, and then you pin stitch it on. Then you take out your basting stitches, and then and that way you just don't get any of those ugly machine stitches visible. And also machine stitches are quite hard and they give your dress a very specific look, whereas if you do it by hand, then it just looks better, in my opinion, but each to their own. So after I did the zip then and took out all the basting stitches, then I had to finish the lining. And then the next step is to do the hook and eye for the inside belt. And so the point of the inside belt is to take tension and stress off the zip. So you sort of turn the whole dress inside out and you have to do the zip up and then turn the dress inside out. And then that's how you work out where your hook and eye need to be. So I sew my hook on first and then sort of pull it a little bit further so that there's absolutely no tension on the zip. And then that's where your hook needs to go. And so, I just sew it there. And now that it's all done, and of course you have to do the hem as well. And that's just basic. I hand stitched mine as well. And here is the dress. And gee, lovely. Well, certainly better than the pink hospital scrubs that the other dress looks like. So the yellow one is my pink one, and the border print one is what I've done with the flamenco one. And this is just delightful. So with this one, I did the petite version. So it's got a cropped bodice, and you take basically about an inch out of the bodice, and it just fits so much better. It is ridiculous. I think I'm still going to take another half inch or another full inch out of it just because I have a short torso. But even if you have a regular, like your standard size, I would still recommend, I think they've done the pattern wrong. Because, that pink one, it looks like scrubs. That's what it looks like. Fancy skirted scrubs. And because the torso is too long, so the weight of the skirt hits the bodice wrong. But when you do a shorter bodice, it just, the weight hits the shoulders rather than the chest area sort of thing. It's, when I turn them both on the side, you'll see it even more. And it's just, I think the skirt also looks much more flattering and much more balanced structurally when it starts the natural waist rather than, I prefer my skirts, in general, I prefer my skirts sort of low slung and sort of out at my hips rather than up at my waist or even higher at my natural waist. So if you bend side to side, that's your natural waist and it's actually quite high. So I prefer not to have stuff way up there. I like, everything sort of just precariously hanging off my hips. But because I'm a bit of a slob, I just find it more comfortable than like high-rise jeans and things like that. But so this is the back. I don't know, it's different enough that I find it interesting, but it's not so different that it's jarring, this pattern. fabric. So yeah, I think it worked out really well not having enough of the flamenco fabric. Yeah, I really quite like that it's got the two different types. And yeah, I still have to put the button and the loop at the top here. And now I know there's a Gertie dress where at the top, instead of doing it up with a button, they sort of fold the edges back like this, so it looks like a backwards collar at the back. I don't know. I don't really like the look. I think I prefer it like this. But I do think I need to bring the neckline down a little bit, both at the front and the back. And yeah, I'm also not loving the idea of having a side closure plus a back button. So maybe in the next one, because I'm definitely making another one, maybe in the next one I'll have a back zip. I don't know. Zips, when they originally invented, were called side closures. So it always irks me when I have to put in a zip at the back, because that's not what they're. Yeah, I always prefer a side zip. But I think maybe next time, I think I'll do a black one next. And just because you can never have too many black dresses. Yeah, and I think I'll do a back zip for that. I don't mind a black dress with a back zip. So wow, I have a lot of quirks. But yeah, so here I am adding a skirt underneath, because I think this dress will just look so magnificent with a proper netted petticoat underneath it, but I don't have one. So I'll have to make one. But yeah, even just this tiered skirt in cotton lawn underneath it makes it look better. And it's got that rustle effect, you know. It's going to look so gorgeous with a proper petticoat underneath, proper skirt underneath it. But yeah, I love this. I absolutely love this dress. It is so super cute. I'm really, really happy with the way that it turned out. I'm still kind of, a little bit disappointed that there isn't that shrimp in the middle of the bust area, but it's still gorgeous. And I think it's pretty, the illustration for this one is pretty accurate. I think, this one's so much better than the dress A out of this pattern. So yeah, the pink one I'm going to redo. I'll take the bodice off that, and I don't think I'll be able to cut a new bodice out of what I have there. I might have to go and buy some more fabric, but yeah, definitely going to redo it, because this one here is so much better than the other one. I mean, I love the pink. I love the skirt of the pink one. Once the bodice of that one is good, then yeah, I think I will love that one just as much. But yeah, I am so happy with the way that this turned out. And I'm definitely making more of this one, and I'll probably keep doing tweaks. I think the shoulders, the fabric there sticks out too much, so especially since I have such small shoulders. So I think I'll trim them down. I think the neckline is too high, so I'll scoop that a little at the front and the back. And yeah, the next one I make will have, I think, a back zip, just so that I don't have the button on the back plus the side zip. And yeah, but I love the skirt, absolutely love that. Armholes, beautiful. Everything else I think is, for me, is fine, but I can see how you'd need to, if you're a standard size, you would need to sort of change a few things. But yeah, all in all, I really love this dress. I love it so much. This fabric looks perfect in this style. Yeah, and I'm definitely going to make more. First a black one, and then I think some of the rose fabric as well. Oh, and I do think I'll take another 1/2 inch or inch off the bodice as well, at that sort of 2 inches up from the bottom bit that it's on the pattern. So thank you very much for watching, and I'm so relieved that this dress turned out. I was so disappointed after the pink one didn't go so well, but yeah, I can definitely recommend Vogue pattern V8789. I think this is absolutely adorable, and yeah, definitely need to make a wearable mock-up, But yeah, with a few tweaks, this is just the most adorable dress pattern.